She grabbed Eliza's wrist before her fingers could touch the wall. The grip was tight, shaking, almost angry. "Don't touch it." Eliza didn't pull away. She stared at the woman's hand, then at her face. "Why?" The woman's eyes flicked to the hallway behind them, then back. "Because it ain't meant for you." Eliza slowly slid her wrist free. "Then why is it here?" The woman stepped back like the question itself burned. "Some things stay closed." Eliza turned toward the wall again. It didn't look like a door. Just wood, same as the rest. Same color. Same grain. But the seam was wrong. Too straight. Too careful. "You ever open it?" Eliza asked. "No, ever try?" The woman shook her head fast. "You shouldn't either." Eliza raised her hand again, slower this time. "You scared of it?" "I'm scared of what comes after." Eliza pressed her palm flat against the wood. It felt colder than the rest of the house. Not just cool. Hollow. "There's space behind this." The woman's voice dropped. "There ain't nothing back there." Eliza knocked twice. The sound came back dull and deep. Not solid. Not right. "You hear that?" she said. "I hear you making trouble." "No." "Listen." She knocked again. The echo lingered a second too long. The woman turned away. "You keep poking at dead things, they start remembering." Eliza leaned closer, pressing her ear to the surface. Silence at first. Then something faint. Not a voice. Not a sound she could name. Just pressure. Like the wall held its breath. "There's something in there," she whispered. "There ain't." "Then why warn me?" The woman hesitated. "Because I've seen what this house does." Eliza straightened. "What does it do?" "It keeps what it wants." The hallway felt tighter now. The air heavier. Eliza glanced toward the staircase, then back to the wall. "Who built this?" "Family that owned everything." "They still here?" "Some of them." Eliza traced the seam with her fingers. "And they don't want this opened. They don't want anything remembered." Eliza gave a small nod. "That's reason enough." The woman stepped closer again, voice sharp. "You don't understand. Girls before you came through here. Quiet girls. Good workers. They lasted a season, maybe two." Eliza didn't look away from the wall. "What happened to them?" "They left." "All of them?" The woman didn't answer. Eliza turned then, eyes steady. "Say it." The woman swallowed. "They stopped being themselves." "That ain't the same as leaving." "It is in this house." Eliza faced the wall again. "Maybe they found something. Or something found them." Eliza pressed her palm harder, like she could push through. "You ever hear anything from it?" "No, never." The woman hesitated again. "Sometimes at night." Eliza's eyes sharpened. "What kind of sounds?" "Like paper." "Paper?" "Shifting. Like someone reading slow." Eliza leaned her forehead against the wood. "You sure no one's back there?" "I'm sure no one's supposed to be." Eliza stepped back, studying the edges. "There's no handle." "There ain't meant to be." "Then how's it open?" "It ain't." Eliza crouched, running her fingers along the bottom seam. Dust gathered there, thicker than the rest of the hallway. Undisturbed. Or maybe carefully replaced. "Someone's been here," she said. "No one comes down this hall." "Someone does." The woman shook her head, more to herself now. "You're digging into something old." Eliza stood again. "Old things last. Old things rot. Not all of them." The woman's voice softened, almost pleading. "Walk away." Eliza didn't move. You can still choose that. Eliza knocked once more. Slower this time. The echo came back, softer, but it carried farther. Like the space behind the wall stretched deeper than it should. She stepped closer again, pressing her ear flat. That pressure returned. Stronger now. Not sound. Not quite. Just the sense that something on the other side leaned back. Listening too. Eliza pulled away slowly. It knows we're here. The woman froze. Don't say that. You felt it? I said don't. Eliza's voice stayed calm. This ain't empty. The woman backed toward the hallway. You open that, you won't close it again. Eliza looked at the seam one last time. Her fingers hovered, then curled into a fist. Maybe it's not meant to close. The woman turned, already walking away. You're making a mistake. Eliza didn't follow. She stayed there, alone with the wall, her eyes fixed on the place where would met would too perfectly. After a moment, she whispered, quiet enough that it almost disappeared. I'll find a way in. And the silence on the other side felt like it answered. Eliza kept her ear pressed to the wall long after the other woman's footsteps faded. The house settled around her, slow and tired, but this part did not settle. It held. It waited. She tapped the wood again, softer now, like she was trying not to wake something. You hear that? She whispered to no one. No answer came back, but the echo did. Too deep. Too wide. She pulled her head away, frowning. That ain't empty, she said under her breath. Her fingers slid across the surface, tracing the seam again, slower this time, careful. The wood felt wrong. Not just cold. It had a gift to it, faint, like it remembered being opened once and never quite sealed right again. Footsteps returned behind her. You're still at it. Eliza didn't turn. Come listen. I told you, there's nothing. Then prove it. A pause. Then reluctant steps closer. Quick, the woman said. I ain't staying. Eliza knocked twice, steady. The sound rolled back low and hollow. The woman stiffened. You hear that? Eliza asked. I hear a wall. That ain't a wall sound. The woman stepped back again. You're making it worse. Eliza pressed her palm flat again. Feel this. I'm not touching that. Just once. Another pause. Then the woman reached out, barely brushing the surface with her fingertips. She flinched. It's cold. Colder than the rest, Eliza said. Like air's moving behind it. The woman wiped her hand on her apron. Houses got drafts. Drafts don't feel like that. Eliza leaned closer, pressing harder. For a moment, nothing changed. Then she felt it again. A faint push back. Not strong. Just enough to make her breath catch. There, she whispered. You feel that? Feel what? Like it's breathing. The woman shook her head fast. It ain't breathing. Then what is it? Your mind running wild. Eliza knocked again, sharper now. The echo came faster this time, tighter, like the space behind had shifted. She froze. It changed. Nothing changed. It did. She knocked again. The sound came back duller, closer. Eliza's eyes narrowed. It moved. Walls don't move. This one does. The woman's voice dropped. You need to stop. Eliza didn't. She pressed her ear flat again, eyes closing, focusing. The silence pressed back. Then, faint and quick, something brushed the other side. Like paper sliding across wood. Eliza jerked back. You heard that. I didn't hear nothing. You're lying. I'm leaving. The woman turned, but Eliza grabbed her sleeve. Stay. No, just a second. No, Eliza held tighter. Someone's in there. The woman pulled free. There ain't no one. Then what was that? Old houses make sounds. That wasn't the house. The woman backed toward the hall again. You keep saying that like you want it to be true. Eliza's voice stayed low. I want to know what it is. And when you know? Then I'll decide what to do. The woman shook her head. You don't get to decide in this place. Eliza turned back to the wall. Who does? The ones who built it. They're gone. Not all the way. Eliza ran her fingers along the seam again, pressing into the thin line where the wood met. It dipped, just slightly. There's a latch here somewhere. There ain't. There is. You're guessing. I'm feeling. She pressed harder, sliding her hand upward, inch by inch. The wood gave again, faint but real. Eliza's breath slowed. It's loose. Stop. It's not sealed right. Stop. Eliza pushed harder. The wall didn't open, but something inside shifted again, a soft drag, like weight moving across the floor beyond. Both women froze. You hear that now? Eliza whispered. The woman's face had gone pale. I heard something. Eliza nodded once. Yeah. Silence stretched. Heavy. Watching. Eliza leaned in again, slower now, careful. Who's there? She said quietly. No answer. Just that pressure again, pressing back against her ear. The woman grabbed her arm. Don't talk to it. Why not? Because it might answer. Eliza didn't pull away this time. Maybe that's what I need. No, yes. The woman's grip tightened. You don't know what you're calling. Eliza's voice stayed steady. Then tell me. The woman hesitated, eyes fixed on the wall. I don't have words for it. Try. It's what's left. Eliza frowned. Left of what? People. The word hung between them. Eliza turned slowly. People don't stay in walls. They do in this house. Eliza looked back at the seam. Not without help. The woman let go of her arm. You think someone put them there? I think someone put something there. Why? Eliza's eyes hardened. To keep it quiet. The woman swallowed. It was quiet before you came. No, Eliza said. It was hidden. She pressed her palm flat one more time. The cold seeped into her skin, deeper now, like it wanted to stay. It knows I'm here, she murmured. Don't say that. It does. The woman stepped back again. You're not right. Eliza didn't answer. She just stood there, breathing slow, feeling that faint push from the other side. Not random. Not empty. Intent. I'm going to open it, she said. No, you're not. I am. You don't even have a key. Eliza finally turned, her expression set. Then I'll find one. The woman shook her head, already retreating. You're bringing trouble. Eliza watched her go, then looked back at the wall. Her fingers tapped once, light, almost gentle. The echo came back softer now, like it was closer, listening. Eliza leaned in one last time. I'll be back, she whispered. The pressure behind the wood held steady, like it understood. Eliza waited until the house went quiet in its own slow way before she moved through the hallway like she already belonged to it. The woman from earlier had stopped watching her directly, but Eliza still felt eyes behind doors and corners. She didn't go back to the hidden wall right away. Instead, she moved toward the kitchen where the staff kept their things. There was a drawer there that never sat quite straight in the cabinet. Eliza pulled it open slow enough that the wood complained under her fingers. Inside were Spoon's old cloth and a rusted ring of keys. She didn't touch them at first. You looking for trouble? A voice said behind her. Eliza didn't turn. I found it already. The cook stood in the doorway wiping her hands on a towel that had seen too many seasons. "You don't take what ain't yours," the cook said. Eliza finally looked up. "Then who owns it?" The cook hesitated just long enough to mean something. "People above your pay," she said quietly. Eliza turned back to the drawer and slid her fingers through the metal ring. The keys clinked like they were remembering each other. One key was different, smaller, darker, almost black with oil or old smoke. Eliza held it up. "This one doesn't belong here." The cook stepped forward fast. "Put that back." "Why?" Eliza asked. "Because that one ain't for staff hands." Eliza studied her. "Then whose hands?" The cook didn't answer right away. "Sheriff's house used it once," she said finally. Eliza felt the air tighten. "Sheriff comes here." The cook shook her head. "Came." Eliza narrowed her eyes. "Past tense then." The cook stepped closer, voice lower. "You don't say his name like that in this house." Eliza slipped the blackened key into her pocket anyway. "This one opens something," she said. "Everything opens something," the cook replied. A silence followed, heavy and alert. Eliza leaned closer. "Where does this one go?" The cook looked away. "Nowhere you should be." Eliza smiled, faint but sharp. "That's exactly why I'm asking." The cook grabbed her wrist. "Stop digging." Eliza didn't flinch. "Or what?" The cook leaned in. "Or you end up like the others." Eliza paused. "What others?" The cook let go slowly. "The ones who thought they could open what was locked." Eliza touched the pocket where the key sat, heavy. "They didn't open it right." The cook stared at her. "There is no right way." Eliza exhaled slow. "Then I'll find my way." The cook shook her head again. "You don't understand what that key is attached to." Eliza lifted her chin. "Then explain it." The cook hesitated again. "It opens doors that don't close clean." Eliza looked toward the hallway in the distance. "Good." The cook whispered. "That's not good." Eliza turned away slowly. "We'll see." She walked out of the kitchen, fingers brushing the pocket where the black key rested. The house felt different now, not louder but aware. Eliza moved through the hallway slowly, listening for anything that didn't belong. She stopped near the hidden wall again. "I got something for you," she whispered. She pulled the black key from her pocket, holding it up like a question. The air around the wall felt tighter than before. Eliza stepped closer. "Let's see what you were hiding." She inserted the key into the seam she had felt before. It didn't fit clean, but it turned anyway. Somewhere inside the wall something clicked once, like a distant thought. Eliza froze. "You hear that?" she whispered. No answer came, but the house seemed to hold its breath. The cook's voice echoed from far away. "Don't you open that." Eliza didn't move. Too late for that. The key turned again, slower, deeper, like it remembered the lock better than she did. A faint sound rose from behind the wall, like paper shifting and something waking. Eliza pressed her palm against the wood and whispered, "I'm in." The house answered with silence and something inside. Eliza didn't pull the key out. She just stood there with her hand still on the wood, waiting for the house to react like it had a choice. The lock had already turned once, and now everything felt paused, like even the air didn't know what to do next. Behind her, footsteps came fast down the hallway. "Stop." The cook's voice cracked sharp through the silence. Eliza didn't turn. Too late. "You don't know what you're doing." "I do." "No, you don't." The cook grabbed her shoulder hard and tried to pull her back. Eliza shook her off without looking. "Let go." "You open that, you bring it out." Eliza glanced over her shoulder. "Good." The cook's face tightened. "You don't mean that." Eliza faced the wall again. "I do." The cook stepped closer, lowering her voice now. "That room ain't just storage." Eliza's fingers tightened on the key. "Then what is it?" The cook hesitated. "It's where things were kept quiet." Eliza turned the key again. A second click echoed inside the wall, deeper this time, like something further back answered. The cook went still. "You heard that?" Eliza said. "I heard enough," the cook replied. "Step away." Eliza ignored her. The seam in the wood shifted slightly, just enough to show a thin line of darkness. Not light. Not shadow. Something between. Eliza leaned in. It's open. No, the cook grabbed her arm again. Don't. Eliza pulled free. It's already decided. She pushed. The panel gave way slowly, like it didn't want to be seen but had no strength left to resist. A narrow opening appeared. Cold air slipped out first. Old air. Heavy air. The kind that didn't belong in a living house. The cook stepped back immediately. No, she whispered. Eliza didn't move. It's just a room. It's not just anything. Eliza leaned closer and pushed the panel wider. Darkness waited inside, thick and still. Then she saw it. Stacks. Not boxes. Not furniture. Paper. Thousands of folded letters bound in uneven piles, some tied with string, some just pressed under weight like they had been hidden in haste and never touched again. Eliza exhaled slowly. Letters. The cook's voice shook. Close it. Eliza stepped inside. The floor creaked like it had been waiting years to complain. You're insane, the cook said behind her. Eliza ignored her and knelt beside the nearest stack. The paper was yellowed, edges soft with time. Names were written on the top one. Not one name. Many. Repeated. Crossed out. Written again. Eliza picked one up carefully. These ain't random, she said. The cook stood at the doorway, refusing to enter. Nothing in there is random. Eliza unfolded the letter. Her eyes scanned slowly. This is talking about land deals. Put it down. And people moving in and out like property. The cook's face tightened. I said put it down. Eliza looked up. They're listing names. The cook's voice dropped. Don't read those out loud. Eliza didn't stop. Sheriff's name is here. The cook stepped back like the hallway had shifted under her feet. I told you. Eliza turned another page. Governor too. The cook shook her head fast. No, yes. Eliza stood slowly now, holding the letter. They were all signing off on it. The cook's voice cracked. You don't say that in this house. Eliza looked deeper into the room. Why not? The cook's answer came quieter now. Because this house was part of it. Eliza froze. Part of what? The cook didn't speak for a second. Then finally, keeping them quiet. Eliza looked down at the letters again. Who's them? The cook swallowed hard. The ones who wrote back. A silence stretched between them. Then Eliza stepped further inside. The air grew colder the deeper she went, like the room was remembering every breath it had stolen. There's more back here, she said. The cook's voice broke. Don't go further. Eliza turned slightly. Why? Because they didn't stop writing. Eliza paused. Who didn't? The cook whispered, the ones who never left. Eliza looked at the stacks again. Some of the letters were newer than others. Not by much. But enough. Her fingers tightened on the paper. Someone's still adding to this. The cook shook her head slowly. No one goes in there. Eliza turned toward the deeper part of the room. Then who is it for? The cook didn't answer. Eliza stepped forward again. The floor groaned under her weight. The room felt longer than it should have been, stretching back into darkness that didn't match the house outside. This isn't storage, Eliza said quietly. It's a record. The cook's voice came from far behind her now. It's a warning. Eliza didn't look back. Or a confession. She took another step forward, and the air changed again, colder still, like something inside the room had noticed her fully now. Behind her, the cook whispered one last time, barely holding her voice together. Close it before it remembers you too. Eliza stood in the middle of the hidden room, surrounded by paper and names and silence that wasn't empty anymore. She didn't close it. Eliza didn't leave the room. She stayed standing between the stacks of letters like the air itself had decided she belonged there now. The cook's footsteps finally retreated back down the hallway, fast and uneven, but Eliza didn't follow. She only listened until silence returned. Then she bent down again and picked up another letter, slower this time, careful like it might bite back. "This one's different," she murmured. The ink was darker. Fresher. Not old like the rest. A voice came from the doorway, low and strained. "You're still in there." Eliza didn't turn. "You're still outside." "That's where I'm staying." Eliza unfolded the letter. Her eyes moved slowly. "This one's got payment records," she said. The cook stepped closer but didn't enter. "Don't read that." Eliza looked up. "Why?" "Because that's how you get pulled in." Eliza gave a small, tired laugh. "I'm already in." The cook shook her head. "You don't understand what those papers are tied to." Eliza's voice stayed steady. "They're tied to people." The cook's silence said more than agreement. Eliza kept reading. "They paid for land. Paid for silence. Paid for women to be moved." The cook flinched. "Stop saying that." Eliza stood slowly, holding the letter up. "It's written right here." The cook's voice dropped. "You read it out loud again and it sticks." Eliza frowned. "Sticks how?" The cook didn't answer. Eliza looked back at the stacks. "This isn't just history." "No," the cook said quietly. "It isn't." Eliza stepped deeper into the room. "Then what is it?" The cook hesitated. "It's an agreement." Eliza turned slightly. "Between who?" The cook's face tightened. "Men who owned everything. And men who wanted to keep it that way." Eliza nodded slowly. "Sheriff." The cook didn't deny it. Eliza kept walking, her hand brushing over the stacks. "Governor too." The cook's voice cracked. "Stop naming them like that." Eliza stopped. "Why?" "Because names make it real." Eliza looked down at the letters again. "It already is real." A long silence followed. Then Eliza picked up another bundle tied with thin string. This one was heavier. The paper inside was folded tighter, more controlled. "This one's marked different," she said. The cook stepped forward a little. "Don't open that one." Eliza glanced at her. "You said that about all of them." "This one I mean." Eliza stared at her for a moment, then slowly pulled the string loose anyway. The cook whispered, "Eliza." The bundle opened. Inside were letters written in the same hand. Repeated signatures. But underneath them were notes in different ink. Orders. Instructions. Not requests. Commands. Eliza's face changed slightly. "These are removals." The cook closed her eyes. "I told you." Eliza kept reading. "Women listed here. Sent out. Paid for. Recorded like inventory." The cook spoke softly now. "You should stop." Eliza looked up sharply. "No." The cook's voice broke. "You don't fix this by reading it." Eliza stepped closer. "Then how do you fix it?" The cook didn't answer. Eliza held the papers tighter. They were moving people like property. The cook finally spoke. "That's what this place does." Eliza shook her head. "No. People do that." The cook's eyes darkened. "In this place, the land helps them." Eliza stared at her. "That's superstition." The cook gave a short, humorless laugh. "You ever seen it stop happening?" Eliza didn't respond. A faint sound moved through the room then. Paper shifting somewhere deeper. Not wind. Not settling. Eliza froze. The cook noticed it too. Don't. Eliza whispered, that wasn't us. The cook stepped back again. It hears you when you say it like that. Eliza turned slowly toward the deeper stacks. This place has more than paper, she said. The cook shook her head quickly. Don't go deeper. Eliza didn't listen. She moved forward between the piles. The air got tighter the farther she went, like the room was narrowing around her body. Behind her, the cook said, "You're not supposed to be in that part." Eliza kept walking. Then why is it here? The cook's voice turned desperate. Because no one ever leaves it clean. Eliza stopped. Clean, she repeated. The cook swallowed. Nothing from that end comes out the same. Eliza turned her head slightly. You mean people. The cook didn't correct her. Eliza looked forward again. The stacks here were taller. Denser. Some were wrapped in cloth. Some in rope. Some just pressed into corners like they had been shoved away in panic. She reached out and touched one. It was warm. Eliza pulled her hand back immediately. That one's not old. The cook whispered, don't touch anything else. Eliza ignored her again and lifted the bundle slightly. It was heavier than it should have been. Inside, more letters. But different. Not official. Not recorded. Personal. Eliza opened one. Her voice slowed. This is a woman writing. The cook stiffened. Put it back. Eliza kept reading. She's talking about being moved here. The cook's voice was almost gone now. Stop. Eliza continued. She says she hears paper at night. The cook took a step forward but didn't enter. That's enough. Eliza looked up. Same sound I heard. The cook went still. Eliza's grip tightened. This wasn't just administration. The cook finally whispered, no. Eliza looked around the room slowly. This was containment. The cook didn't deny it. Eliza's voice dropped. And it's still happening. The cook shook her head. Not anymore. Eliza raised an eyebrow. Then why are there newer letters? The cook didn't answer. A long silence filled the room again. Not empty. Pressing. Eliza looked down at the bundle in her hands. Then she said quietly, they didn't stop writing. The cook's face went pale. Eliza looked deeper into the room. And the paper shifted again. Eliza didn't move when she read the last line. The paper stayed in her hand, but her grip loosened slightly, like her body didn't agree with what her eyes just took in. The cook was still standing at the edge of the room, not stepping in, not stepping away either. Just stuck, like the doorway had become a line she couldn't cross anymore. That's not possible, the cook said quietly. Eliza didn't look at her. It's already written. No one's been in there for years. Eliza finally turned her head slightly. Then explain the ink. The cook didn't answer. The silence stretched again, but now it felt different, like it wasn't just between them anymore. It was inside the room too. Eliza lowered the letter slowly. She was here, she said. The cook shook her head fast. Don't start saying that. Eliza looked back at the bundle in her hands. This handwriting isn't the same as the rest. The cook's voice cracked a little. People write the same when they're scared. Eliza stepped closer to the stack she had taken it from. This one is describing this house. The cook went still. Eliza continued, quieter now. Same hallway. Same wall. Same hidden space. The cook whispered, stop reading it. Eliza ignored her. She says she was brought here as a maid. The cook closed her eyes. I said stop. Eliza's voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. She says she cleaned rooms that were already clean. The cook stepped back slightly. That's enough. Eliza looked up now. And she says she wasn't the first. The cook's lips parted but no words came out. Eliza held the letter up again. There's a list. The cook finally spoke, barely audible. Don't say that out loud. Eliza stared at her. Why? The cook shook her head. Because it makes them real again. Eliza frowned. They were always real. A long pause followed. Then Eliza unfolded another page from the same bundle. Her eyes moved slowly at first, then stopped. Her breathing changed slightly. This one is different, she said. The cook stayed frozen. Eliza read quietly. If I disappear, it wasn't by choice. The cook's face tightened. Eliza continued. There is a room behind the wall. They think it only holds paper. It doesn't. The cook whispered. No, Eliza didn't stop. It holds what they didn't bury right. The cook stepped forward suddenly. Give me that. Eliza pulled it back. She's talking about this exact place. The cook's voice rose slightly. You don't understand what you're reading. Eliza looked at her sharply. Then explain it. The cook hesitated, then said quietly, she's not just writing. Eliza blinked once. What do you mean? The cook swallowed. She's leaving herself in it. Eliza didn't respond right away. She looked down at the paper again. The ink seemed darker now, like it had just been written. That's not how writing works, Eliza said. The cook shook her head. Not here. Eliza turned slightly toward the deeper stacks. She says she hears other women. The cook's voice dropped. Stop. Eliza continued anyway. She says they talk through the paper at night. The cook stepped back again. You're going too far. Eliza's eyes narrowed. Or I'm going close enough. The room felt heavier now. The air not moving right. Eliza looked down at the bundle again. She wrote her name at the bottom. The cook didn't ask what it was. She already knew. Eliza said it anyway. Mara. The cook flinched like the name hit something inside her chest. Don't say that here. Eliza looked up. You know her. The cook's silence was immediate. Eliza stepped closer. You knew her. The cook shook her head fast. No, Eliza didn't believe her. She wasn't just a maid before me. The cook whispered, stop. Eliza kept going. She was the one before the others. The cook's voice broke. You need to leave that room. Eliza looked around slowly. She didn't. The cook froze. Eliza said it again, softer this time. She didn't leave. The cook closed her eyes. You don't know that. Eliza held up the letter. She's still writing. The cook opened her eyes sharply. No, Eliza nodded once. Yes. A long silence followed. Then something faint moved through the stacks again. Paper sliding. Slow. Careful. Like someone adjusting their position in the dark. Eliza turned toward it immediately. You heard that. The cook didn't answer. Eliza stepped deeper into the room without waiting. Mara, she said quietly. The cook's voice followed behind her, weak now. Don't call her. Eliza kept walking. If you're here, answer me. The paper shifted again, closer this time. Eliza stopped between two tall stacks. The air here felt colder than before, but not empty. Present. The cook stayed at the entrance, barely visible now. Eliza, she said softly. Eliza didn't turn. She's here, Eliza said. The cook shook her head slowly. No one's here. Eliza looked down at the paper in her hand again. The ink had changed slightly. Fresh. Like it had been touched again after years of waiting. Eliza whispered, she just answered. And from somewhere deeper in the room, paper moved again like a slow breath held too long, finally letting go. Eliza stopped walking, but her body didn't relax. The room felt closer now, like the stacks had shifted without moving. The paper noise had stopped, but the silence after it wasn't empty. It was focused. The cook stayed at the doorway, half in the hall, half refusing to come any further. Eliza, she said again, quieter this time. Eliza didn't answer. She was staring at the bundle in her hand. The ink had not changed again, but it felt like it had. Like something had settled inside it while she wasn't looking. Say it, Eliza whispered. The cook frowned. Say what? Eliza didn't look up. You heard it too. I heard nothing. Eliza finally turned her head slightly. That's a lie. The cook's jaw tightened. You're making this worse. Eliza lifted the letter slightly. Then explain why it knows my name. The cook went still. It doesn't. Eliza held her gaze. It did. A long pause followed. Then the cook stepped forward one careful step into the room. Names don't belong in there, she said quietly. Eliza nodded slowly. But mine is. The cook stopped again. No, Eliza's voice stayed flat. I heard it. The cook looked down for a second, then back up. You're tired. Eliza shook her head once. I'm not. The air between them tightened. Then, very faintly, a sound came again. Not paper this time. Something closer to breath. Eliza turned immediately toward the deeper stacks. There, she said. The cook froze. Don't chase that. Eliza moved anyway. It's already close. The cook followed reluctantly, still refusing to fully step in. You're going to get lost in there. Eliza didn't slow down. I'm already in it. The stacks grew tighter the further she went. The space narrowed, forcing them closer together, like the room was trying to compress itself around her path. Eliza stopped between two walls of paper. Eliza, the voice came softly, not from behind her, not from the cook. From inside the stacks. The cook whispered, no. Eliza didn't move. Who's there? Silence answered first. Then again, closer. Eliza, the cook grabbed her arm. We're leaving. Eliza pulled free. No, the cook's voice cracked slightly. You don't answer that. Eliza stepped forward. I didn't call it. It called you. Eliza stopped. That's not how calling works. The cook shook her head fast. Not here, it isn't. Eliza looked around slowly. The paper was still. But not silent anymore. Present in a way that felt like waiting. Mara, Eliza said again. The cook flinched. Stop using that name. Eliza turned slightly. Why? The cook hesitated too long. Eliza saw it. You knew her, she said again, slower this time. The cook finally exhaled. Yes. Eliza didn't react strongly. Just nodded once. She was the one before me. The cook's voice dropped. She shouldn't have been here at all. Eliza stepped closer. But she was. The cook looked away. They brought her in from the river town. Eliza narrowed her eyes. Why? The cook hesitated again. Because she could read. Eliza blinked once. Read what? The cook didn't answer immediately. Then quietly, everything. A silence followed that felt heavier than before. Eliza looked down at the bundle in her hand again. She's still writing. The cook shook her head quickly. No, Eliza raised the paper slightly. Then explain this. The cook didn't look at it. Eliza continued. This wasn't written years ago. The cook's face tightened. Don't say that. Eliza stepped closer. It's warm. The cook finally looked at the paper. Her expression shifted immediately. No, she whispered. Eliza held it steady. It's fresh. The cook stepped back. Put it down. Eliza didn't. She's here. The cook's voice rose slightly. No one is here. Eliza turned her head toward the stacks again. I heard her. The cook grabbed her arm again, harder this time. That's the house. Eliza pulled away. The house doesn't speak my name. The cook froze. That landed wrong. Too precise. Too real. A faint sound came again from deeper inside. Paper sliding. Slow. Controlled. Eliza moved forward immediately. Mara, she called again. The cook whispered behind her, don't do that. Eliza stopped at the edge of a tighter cluster of stacks. The air here felt different. Not just cold. Aware. Then it happened. A soft reply. Eliza, the voice was not behind her this time. It was beside her. Very close. The cook gasped. No, Eliza didn't move. Her eyes stayed fixed on the space between the paper stacks. Where are you? She said quietly. The cook shook her head repeatedly. We're leaving now. Eliza ignored her. Show yourself. The paper shifted. Just slightly. One stack leaning in a fraction like something had pressed against it from the inside. Then silence again. Eliza's voice softened. Mara. A pause. Then the reply came again, clearer now, almost calm. You came anyway. The cook stepped back quickly, panic rising. Eliza, stop. Eliza didn't respond. She took one step forward into the narrow gap between the stacks. The paper brushed her shoulders like it recognized her. I found your letters, Eliza said. The voice replied softly, everywhere and nowhere. They were never lost. Eliza's breath slowed. Then why hide them? A pause. Then, because they weren't for them. The cook's voice broke behind her. Eliza, come back. But Eliza didn't move. She stood inside the stacks now, surrounded. And for the first time, she wasn't alone in the silence. Eliza didn't step back. The stacks around her stayed still now, but the air inside them felt occupied, like something had settled into the space between paper and breath. The cook was still behind her, voice shaking but trying to stay firm. Eliza, get out of there. Eliza didn't turn. I'm not alone. The cook shook her head fast. You are. Eliza's eyes stayed forward. A pause followed, heavy and deliberate. Then the voice came again, softer but closer. They always say that. The cook froze. Don't answer it, she whispered. Eliza finally spoke toward the space. Who's they? Silence first. Then a slow reply. The ones who signed. The cook stepped forward slightly, panic rising. This is how it starts. Eliza didn't move. Starts what? The cook's voice cracked. You talking back to it. Eliza's gaze stayed steady. It already knows me. The stack shifted faintly again, not physically but in presence, like attention turning. Yes, the voice said. Eliza swallowed once. You wrote to me. A pause. Then, I wrote to whoever would hear. The cook shook her head. Eliza, this isn't a conversation. Eliza ignored her. You're Mara. Another pause. Longer this time. Then, I was. The cook whispered. No, Eliza didn't react to her anymore. You're still writing. The voice answered, closer now. So are they. Eliza frowned slightly. Who? The silence that followed felt wrong. Not empty. Full. Then the voice changed tone slightly, less soft now. More certain. The ones above the paper. The cook stepped back again. That's not a thing, she muttered. Eliza turned her head slightly but kept her eyes forward. What does that mean? The voice didn't answer immediately. The stacks creaked faintly like pressure building. Then, it means they never stopped reading. Eliza's voice lowered. The sheriff. The cook closed her eyes briefly. Don't name them here. Eliza continued anyway. The governor. The stacks seemed to tighten. The voice responded, sharper now. They all read it. The cook whispered, stop. Eliza's breathing stayed controlled. Read what? The voice answered after a beat. What we were. A long silence followed. Then Eliza stepped 1 inch deeper into the stacks. The paper brushed her arms again like a warning or recognition. You're inside it, she said. The cook moved forward quickly now. Get her out. Eliza raised a hand without looking back. Wait. The cook stopped. The voice spoke again. You don't leave it. You become it. Eliza frowned. That's not how paper works. The response came immediate. It is when they decide it is. The cook's voice broke slightly. Eliza, please. Eliza finally turned her head halfway back. You heard her too. The cook didn't answer. That silence was enough. Eliza turned forward again. They did this. The voice answered. Yes. Eliza's jaw tightened. Why? A pause. Then, because silence needed structure. The cook whispered, that's not real. Eliza didn't look at her. It is here. The stacks shifted again, deeper this time. Not movement. Arrangement. Like something inside them had changed position. Eliza stepped forward again. You were all written down. The voice answered, quieter again. We were organized. Eliza's eyes narrowed. Like records. Like warnings, the voice corrected. The cook stepped closer again, voice urgent. You're not hearing a person anymore. Eliza replied without turning. I am. The cook shook her head. That's the house speaking through memory. Eliza paused. Then memory is alive. The cook's voice dropped. That's not how it works. Eliza finally looked back at her. It is here. The voice interrupted again, softer now. You brought another one. The cook froze. Eliza turned forward. She didn't bring me. The voice paused. Then, they all say that. Eliza's tone sharpened slightly.